Okay, hi everybody. John Quattrucci with notes from the queue, Avengers Endgame edition. When I do movie reviews, I write them and I put them on Facebook. But because this was such an epic film, I decided to do this just a little bit differently. That's right, I'm going to do a video movie review of Avengers Endgame. Now, before I go on, I never include spoilers in my reviews. This review will have spoilers. If you have not seen the film, do not watch this video. I'll give you 3 seconds to get away. Okay? And 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now, before I saw this, and we've all been looking forward to this, the closure of the Marvel Universe Phase 1 films. And this is the culmination of 22 movies in this epic, epic film. So I saw it a couple of days ago. And before I saw it, I read some reviews. People I know, people I respect, told me they cried. It was the best superhero film ever. You're not going to believe how great this movie is. So, of course, I went in with humongous expectations. So, bottom line, I give this movie a 7. 7 out of 10. Now, you might say, well, what's my frame of reference? Well, for me, the gold standard of all superhero movies is 1978's Superman the movie. To me, that is the one where I set everything else from, because that's the first superhero movie that really took the genre seriously and created a blockbuster film. You can look back on it now and say the effects aren't as good as they are today, but I would argue with you that they're just as good. And I like them better because they're more practical. But anyway, and as far as the Marvel Universe goes, to me, the best movie is Captain America Winter Soldier. That's a 10 for me. So you can understand where my 7 kind of fits. Now, do I think it was a great movie? No. But I did enjoy it. I really did enjoy it. I really felt like they wrapped up all the storylines. They paid tribute to just about every Marvel movie that has come out before it. They had a nice tribute for Stan Lee, which I thought was a great touch. So let's talk about what I liked about the movie. Well, the focus of the movie was on the original Avengers, as opposed to Infinity War, where they had to give everybody their moment to shine. And by the way, that's a plus and a minus, because in Endgame, all the other supporting characters barely had anything to do. It was really focused on the original Avengers. But they're the ones that got it all started, so I can understand why they did that. I thought that the battle at the end, look, as a big comic book fan, you always want to see on film what you see in the comics. And what they did at the end of this movie was something you would have seen in a centerfold panel of the Avengers comics that I used to read in the 70s and 80s. So they accomplished that. I thought the 2 characters that shined the most, and no surprise, was Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, Iron Man, Captain America. Again, spoiler alert, Tony Stark died. That was a big surprise. I was not expecting that. And I thought they handled it really, really well, especially his relationship with Tom Holland, Spider-Man. I thought they really did a nice job on that. And I love the way his last line, I am Iron Man, was also the last line in the first of the Marvel films when he said at the press conference. I thought that was great, and I thought he handled it really, really well. He's going to be missed. He was the thing that really got the ball rolling. And Chris Evans as Captain America, again, one of my favorite characters. They took what could have been a hokey and lame character and really turned it into, my opinion, the heart of the Avengers. And his arc, his story arc, ended on an interesting note. And again, spoiler alert, he actually goes back in time, ends up with Peggy Carter, which, by the way, I predicted. Before I saw the movie, I predicted that he would go back in time, but I thought he would have a dance with Peggy Carter, because that's what they've talked about in all the different films. He ended up marrying her and was an old man in at the end of Endgame. So that was interesting. I'll get into more of that later. But his whole story arc, I really enjoyed. And the other one was Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner. They brought him back after being absent in the first movie, and he actually became a pretty integral part of the plot of Endgame, so it was good to see him back. overall, again, great way to tie up all the movies. A lot of laughs, some sad stuff. I mean, you know, I heard people cried. I did not cry. But I overall I thought it was really great. Go see it in IMAX. But the way I gauge a movie especially of this scope, would I go back to see it right away? And the answer is no. Now you're talking about someone, nerd alert. I saw Star Wars in 1977, the year it came out. I saw it 214 times in the movie theater. Okay, so that was like, you know, I couldn't do that with this movie. And one of the biggest reasons was it's too long. I didn't need 3 hours to tell this story. They could have cut some of the fat and really tightened up the pace, but maybe they felt it was epic, so it had to be that long. No, it was too long. That leads me into what I didn't like about it. I mentioned it earlier that all the other characters really get a short riff. They really have nothing to do. They barely have anything to say. It was really focused on the original 6, which, you know, I don't know if you like that or don't like it, but I thought that was kind of a miss, especially in the last battle. They really didn't do much. Thor, I hated what they did with Thor. And now, Thor was comic relief, and I loved Thor Ragnarok. I thought that was great. I thought Chris Hemsworth was great in it, and I loved what they did with his character. But this was just, I wouldn't have minded it the first 10 minutes. And then, you know, hold up the hammer, get some lightning, and become the God of Thunder that we've known from all the other movies. I didn't like it. He was strictly comic relief, and I thought unnecessary. Hulk, they made a smart Hulk, so they merged Banner and the Hulk. I liked it. I thought it was interesting, but as a result of doing that, Hulk didn't do anything. He was on the computer or on control panels most of the movie. So he didn't do much. And you could have had Mark Ruffalo do the exact same thing. You didn't have to do this Hulk Banner hybrid. I thought that was also a miss. So again, Thor Ragnarok, you know, he could talk, but he was still the Hulk. And that was missing. And so if you think about it, we never really got to see the Hulk again because he wasn't in Infinity War. And the Hulk that showed up here, I don't know, it wasn't the Hulk that I know. Now, the time travel. Now, you know, I don't mind time travel stories, but they usually get messed up pretty bad. Now, the way they set it up and why they have to do it to get the stones, I get it. I totally get that. But all the paradoxes that come from time travel, and they tried to explain it away, it just made it way too complicated. You know, Captain America goes back in time, and he ends up marrying Peggy Carter and living with her for the rest of his life. Well, that's completely out of character for Captain America. He would never do that. Why? One, Peggy Carter was married with kids. Well, that timeline's gone. Also, he's taken himself out of everything that happened in his original timeline with Hydra and Civil War. Well, that's gone because he's not part of it anymore. That's something that I don't believe Captain America would ever do. Or the swearing. That was kind of interesting. Not a big deal, but completely out of character, I thought, for him. Now, characters dying. Okay, Black Widow died. Big shock for me. Again, I was not expecting that, especially one of the strongest female heroes in either Marvel or DC universe. She was really the first one. And why I was so surprised, right before the movie opened, they announced they're doing a Black Widow standalone movie. Well, now it looks like it's going to be a prequel because they killed her. Now, my question is, Gamora died in Infinity War. They brought her back because they went in the past. Well, didn't Black Widow exist in the past? Can't she just come forward? Very confusing, I'm telling you. So I wasn't crazy about the whole time thing. Okay, two other things. Thanos. Great multi-dimensional villain in Infinity War. You didn't forgive what he wanted to do, but you could kind of understand why he wanted to do it. And when he had to kill Gamora, you could really feel the pain. To me, that was like a multi-dimensional CG character. Well, in Endgame, he just became like every other Marvel villain, and I think a weak part of the Marvel movies, a one-dimensional, I want to take over the world and I want to kill everybody and blah, blah, blah. That was it. So completely different from what we saw in Infinity War. So that was disappointing. And finally, the battle at the end, you know, I did like it, but the CGI is just too much. It looks like a cartoon. And, you know, again, that's why I like Civil War, all the practical effects, you know, based in reality. Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight, you know, I really like that. But I mean, they probably had no other way to do it. But it's not like they really honed in on all the different heroes that were there. They really focused on the original Spider-Man. Captain Marvel was there, the most powerful hero in the universe, and she pretty much had trouble with Thanos. So I don't get that whole thing either. But okay, I sound like I'm complaining and I didn't like the movie. I liked it. And you definitely want to see it in IMAX. The scope of the movie is unbelievable. But based on all the hype, based on what I read prior to going to see it, to me, a 7's kind of disappointing. Now, having said that, I am going to give it a Infinity Gauntlet thumbs up. Okay? So definitely go see it. Oh, yeah. One more thing. I got one more thing. Hold on one second. I am Iron Man. I have always wanted to say that. All right, that's it. Avengers Endgame. Go see it. 7 out of 10. We'll talk to you soon.